right? I want you to know that I was hurting, that I'm suffering, I'm going through something that you haven't really seen or validated before. Um, and so that is like the ultimate pain you can leave for somebody, right? If you're a parent and you lose your son or daughter to a suicide, then that's a hurtful feeling for the rest of your life. And so that's like
Yes.
the ultimate kind of get back to you.
Suicide. We've been speaking about suicide on the series, and today we're looking at it from a bit of a different perspective. A cry for help. Some people feel like suicide is a cry for help, where no one's listening to them. So you have to do something to make someone listen to you. And for some people, it's suicide. And for other people, it's what if I can say, you know what? I'm going to pretend and say, you know what? I am going to commit suicide if you do not do what I say. I'm going to end my life if you do not stay with me, for example, in a relationship. So we're talking about suicide as a form of control right now. Now, this might be a contentious issue because, after all, some people survive and other people don't. However, we have to shed a light on the full spectrum of suicide and suicide awareness. And this might be a darker, sinister, more sinister kind of perspective, but it's there. So, without further ado, today my special guest is Oscar Ortega. Oscar, how are you today?
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you. Love these conversations, by the way.
So do I. Tell me, Oscar, tell us a bit about your experience with suicide, and then let's just take it from there. And do
Yeah.
you agree with what I just said? Sorry.
No, it's okay. So, well, one, thank you for again, having me on your conversation. Because I mean, when I say I love these conversations, not that I love talking about suicide and people, dying. It's just more that it brings a lot of awareness to what happens in someone's, emotional journey to really have them go over the edge and just commit, the the worst thing happen in this world, right? To kill one itself. So, do I agree with what you said? Well, I think I think we really have to be sensitive to like what we're talking about here because I think there might be some people listening to this conversation and they're not going to agree to our perspective or my perspective, your perspective. They experience it a whole different, from a whole different angle, and so we want to be really careful with that. Now, with me personally, um, it's my own story, my own journey, and it's different. It's different, as a kid going through these emotional roller coasters. Like it's really how much is it real? How much is it not real? How much is it validated or not validated? And how much is it just a cry for help? I'm a kid. Doesn't I never really had control of my emotions in so many ways. So when we're talking about suicidal thoughts or trying to commit suicide at a young age, it's almost like if I say it now, it's unbelievable. Like, you can't even believe it. Like, well, you did that? You what? That's not what it is. Well, maybe that's not what it was. Or even if I talk to my parents about it, my family, oh, you're lying. That's not what it really what you really did. And it's more like, well, how do you know what I was going through? Not everybody knows what I was going through. So when you're talking about us hurting another person through my suicide attempts, I agree in the respect of like in the sense of sometimes you know I want to make sure that that I was suffering, so I want to make sure that you suffer with me, and the only way I could do that is by killing myself and what I know and what I've experienced myself and others gone through it, or what we see in research is that many of us who want to kill ourselves, we want to make sure that someone knows that, like, hey, I was hurting, right? I want you to know that I want you to know that I was hurting, that I'm suffering, I'm going through something that you haven't really seen or validated me for. Um, and so that is like the ultimate pain you can leave for somebody, right? If you're a parent and you lose your son or daughter to a suicide, then that's a hurtful feeling for the rest of your life. And so that's like
Yes.
the ultimate kind of get back to you type of moment, which is sucks, right? But again, suicide is so many different shapes, ways, and forms, and so I definitely want to be sensitive about that.
Yes, 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 of course. And in this series, we're very sensitive and we speak, and it's about everybody's different journey, right? However, it's just shining a light on the possibility. And by shining the light on that, we can see how to help or to give a hand out to people who are in that situation, because if someone's in that situation, they don't know any, that's the only form of cry for help that they know. So how would you what would have changed your perspective? What did you need at that moment as a small child when you were thinking of ending it all for whatever reason? What did you need at that time? Sorry.
No, no, yeah, and you know what? It's even now as an adult, it's difficult to say what I was going through when I was 16, 17, 18 years old. Like I can't even remember what I ate that day or where I was going through, and so or where I was at, right? And so it's difficult to kind of answer that with specifics. But I could tell you this though. I could tell you that there's a time frame in my life where I was disconnected from my family. I was disconnected from my friends. I was disconnected from anything positive in my life, and I was so surrounded by negative, through in a negative atmosphere that negative thoughts just came to my head naturally. Right, it was just natural to feel bad and sorry about myself or others. It was just, it was just that type of mentality. And through that, I mean, there was a lot of drug addiction. There was a lot of or drug use. There's a lot of alcohol use. There was just a lot of negative activity around me. So it was just my brain adapted to that. And then even when you're separated from the negative atmosphere, even when you're like disconnected from anything and everybody, everything negative just starts coming to your head. Where I'm not valued. There's no one's gonna listen to me. No one's gonna know I'm dead. No one's reaching out for me. Nobody cares about me. Nobody talks to me. I mean, there's just this world of isolation that just feels so bad. And so I mean, I could tell you this, that like when I was in that moment in my life, I feel really unwanted, right? I feel really
Mm-hmm.
unwanted and unneeded. And so I really felt invisible to others. I just felt like I was there, but not really there. And, and I used to walk in the streets where I seen my friends, my family drive by this and that. So I'm saying that, but I'm not putting blame on anybody. I want to make
No,
sure
no,
that's
no. Yes.
being said, because I'm not,
Yeah.
but at the same time, it's like, how do you, as a kid, how do you say, hey, I have these thoughts in my head? Like, how do you express yourself with that? And so in the midst of that, to answer your question, like, it's like, what do you need at a point where you're just so lost and so far away from reality that's like, at the time I just needed more drugs, right? I needed more drugs. I needed more alcohol. I needed more misery to make myself feel better about myself. And it's such a weird conversation to have in that aspect, because in reality we want love, because that's what I wanted, right? Looking back at it, it's like that's what you need to give this one kid, love and respect. And I got that from the wrong people, and which is the wrong people in the same path that I was. So it's just difficult to answer those questions. It really is. But I mean, if you look back at it, it's just that I was so disconnected. I was just so disconnected, and nobody ever teaches you how to connect yourself back to your family. Nobody teaches your family how to connect with your children. Like, I mean, society just makes you work, work, work. I mean, it's just so many elements are associated to one's bad, you know, way of thinking, that there's a lot of contributors to the fact that
Mm-hmm.
someone maybe thinking about committing suicide, or suicidal thoughts, or just negative thoughts. But if you really look at it in broad, it's just, I'm going through pain. I'm going through pain. I'm going through so much pain that I have no way of kind of snapping out of it. And so with that being said, I mean, there's a lot that I needed. Maybe I just didn't know how to ask for it.
Yes. Okay. So then, if you were a parent on the other side, right? Because I mean, now you're a parent, right? Would you be able to pick up if one of your children was going through the same thing? Would you be able to pick it up, or what would your advice be to parents? Like, how do you open up the communication between parent and child to say, you know what, I'm here, and if you're hurting, I'm listening.
Mm-hmm.
How do you, I mean, like, I'm putting it on you the parent, you parent with your children, but how do you do that and keep the communication open with trust and respect?
Yeah.
Because
No, yeah, definitely. And I think, you know, me now at 38 years old and going through what I went through, and you know, even as an adult, you still kind of go through the same kind of process of mine where, you know, your life is not where it should be. And you kind of have all these doubts where it's natural to kind of be in that negative, you know, mind frame state of mind. But, you know, being now at 38, learning all these tools through mentorship, you know, trainings or education, you know, you'll start really identifying, you know, certain things, right, that really catches your eye. Like, whoa, I got to focus on that, right? One thing that I that I try not to do, I try not to make it a thing. So if one of my kids is super sad or not, I'm not trying to make it a thing where like, oh, you're sad, I'm going to go try to fix your sadness and make it even a worse kind of an environment for my kid, where because all of a sudden she's a problem, right, or he's a problem, and I don't try to approach it that way. I think for me, something that I learned is that, you know, the brain works a certain way and it always functions in a certain way, and I think it's just different triggers that really align that are aligned that makes a brain kind of feel a certain way, and that could be a positive or negative. So for me as a parent, as a community leader, as a whatever you want to call me, but ultimately as a parent, I want to make sure that every single experience that my kids have are super positive with a lot of love, right? A lot of feedback, a lot of positiveness. And so, and there's moments where like I see my kids who are not that, they're not that happy, or they're sad, or I see them down. I do a lot of check-ins. I do a lot of check-ins, not to make it a thing, but just to kind of get feedback and make sure that they know that I see them and I hear them. But as a parent, no matter what, no matter if they're happy, unhappy, and no matter if I see maybe one of my daughters, she's like just having a bad day and she has a little snappy attitude with me and whatnot, I don't ask why so much as like what's happening. It's more like, okay, it's my job to make sure that no matter what happens next, she's safe, that she knows there's food, that she knows there's me physically, emotionally, that whatever I do following that, I want to make sure I take it to a happy place. I want to make sure that the day is full of love and joy. And then I ask why, what happened? If that, maybe it's just one of those times where the brain just needs a little reset. I don't know. I really don't know. But I think as a parent, and this is something that I still work on and really make sure that I practice it a lot, is to, you know, to be the best role model I can be for my kids. So when I'm feeling down, I tell my kids, hey guys, time out, time out. I'm not happy right now. Time out. You know, I need a little, you know, a little setback, a little restart. So they can know, hey dude, it's okay to say that I'm not okay. Right. I gotta really make sure that I role model what this house should look like. And this house should be free of any negativity, any judgment. And we should be free to just say, hey dude, I'm not okay. And we should honor that. So, but it's difficult because I do have a lot of support. No, I do have a lot of support. And there's families out there that don't have what I have. Or there's families out there that have more than I have. And no matter how much you have, we know that your kids will always go through an emotional state that you have no control over. Right? I have no control over how they think, but I could make sure that they whatever it is that they're thinking, they don't really hurt themselves. And so there's kind of ways to go about it. And this is one of the ways that it works for me. So, yeah.
I love that. Considering also like what you've been through, it also probably gives you a different perspective on the way you see parenting, right? and you see probably see signs that you felt that you saw when you were younger, and that gives you a different perspective as well. So, and I'm not saying like going through drug addiction is a good thing. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that you lived through the experience, and with that you can see things at a different perspective. And then with that, because you are a community leader, right? How do you approach the community? Because do you approach the community in the same kind of manner? So say you see somebody who's like acting a bit strange, and I mean sometimes it's a bit difficult because you don't know the situation. How do you approach that person to know that they're safe and that you're there for them, so that they don't go the worst route ever?
No, yeah, that's a good question. I think you know what, it's a lot. It's a lot to like, and it's very, you really got to be careful, especially in a role of community leader. You really want to be careful that you're not hurting more than they're already hurting, right? So, and I say that because as soon as I approach an individual saying, "Hey, everything okay?" I'm putting myself in a very sensitive way where if they say yeah, or they say no, and I need help, Oscar, I'm like, "Oh, okay. Well, then I took the responsibility upon myself to try to go help this individual out, right?" I might not be able to help them out, but they're expecting me to help out. And that might not be in a formal conversation. That could be just in the sense of like, I'm making myself available to an individual. But just them knowing that I could help is super powerful, right? At the same time, if I can't help the individual, then I'm actually hurting the individual more than anything else. And so I say that because when I see, youth out there or even parents who are struggling, right? They're doing what I used to do when I was younger. They're overdosing. They're shooting up. There's violence. There's domestic violence at home. There's over drinking. I mean, anything like that. To me, I approach it like that guy, like that individual is going through some suffering right now. There's something happening, behind the scenes that we can't see, right? And not that I'm saying that everybody's mentally unstable or anything like that, but I approach it more like that brain is not safe right now. That's what I always tell myself. That brain is not safe right now. You know,
Yeah.
How do we make that brain safe? What can we do? What can I do at this moment to make sure that brain feels safe? And it could be a lot. It could be just a simple conversation. It could be, hey, how you doing? Where you been? What's going on? It could be more like, hey, you know what? Let's go eat. Let's hang out. Let's go work. You need a job. Can you please help me out? Anybody in this world needs a sense of purpose. Everybody in this world needs a sense of purpose. If you give a person a sense of purpose, a belonging, just them knowing that somebody's thinking about them, someone knows that, like, hey, I thought about you, or at least I approached you to talk to you, or I think enough about you that I want you to invite you for a burrito, or of any other situation that's very positive, and you're there with that individual present. I think that in itself is such a beautiful thing. It brings a lot of healing for an individual that's going through a lot. And so if it's just for that moment of time in their day, that's even if it was like the worst shitty day of their life, and that 20 minutes of conversation they had with you, to the brain, that means a lot, right? It means so much to it. So just knowing that we could do a little bit, like approach the situation a little different without making it a thing, without saying, hey, dude, there's something wrong with you. You got to go see a therapist. Without doing that, I think we could do a lot just by being present. So, and that's something that we do good a lot. We're always present. I'm not hard to reach. I'm easy to find. So I'm always here.
Yes, so what I'm hearing you say as well, because you often hear people say, "I'm like invisible; nobody sees me." So if we can just, you're just giving those people, I'm here. I can see you. I see you for who you are, for the human person, for the beautiful person that you are. So perhaps what we need to do is just start treating people with a bit more kindness and a bit more love, for the want of a better word, right? And realize that everyone's on their own path.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You know what? A thought came to my head right now where I think we're missing the point in a lot of these conversations. I think personally, and the point, uh, the point is, to me, the point is that it's I don't know. There might be a case of not, but I don't think anybody wakes up one day and says, I'm gonna go commit something to myself. I'm gonna go hurt myself. I don't think anybody has said that before. I don't know. Maybe I know I didn't. And it took one day, one activity, one event that caused me trauma that started in this long journey path for me to even feel a sense of trying to kill myself. Right. So it's like, as someone who has committed suicide, from my experience, from my knowledge, it's always starts somewhere, maybe at a young age, maybe at an older age, but it's not like from here to tomorrow. I mean, it takes time for this person to build so much pain and suffering to them to say, hey, yeah, man, I give up. I just give up. I don't know what to do anymore. Right. And so to when we first started the conversation, in the sense of like, I want to make sure that the other person, whoever it might be, my parents, my friends, my loved one, I want them to know that I want them to hurt more than I hurt myself over suicide. I mean, just having those thoughts, they don't build overnight. I mean, it takes a long time. And I think that's the point that we're missing. We're like, it takes a long time for us to bring suffering to somebody. So that means that say that it took a year, say it took a week, 2 weeks, 3 months, whatever it might be time frame. That means we miss so many opportunities for us to really just approach an individual, whoever that might be, and say, hey, dude, how you doing? I love you. I respect you. What do you need? What do you want? Like, what's going on? Everybody that I know that has maybe a family member who's committed suicide, or maybe they know somebody, a friend, or maybe someone that's been through it and tried to commit suicide. And everybody that I know, it always says the same thing. Like, they always say the same thing. Where like, I don't know how to, I went through something happened emotionally. I don't know how to control it. No one really taught me. Nobody really saw me. Nobody really checked up on me. No, there was no check-ins. Nobody really cared. And then when I did ask for help, anybody was like, well, whatever, right? If I could do it, you could do it, kind of snap out of it type of approach.
Yeah.
Everybody says the same thing. So that to me tells me that we, as parents, as friends, as brothers and sisters, as community members, my neighbor, whatever you might say, I think we have failed. We have failed our thy neighbor. We have failed our friends. We have failed our family. So it really, I think, for anybody who's watching this, just know that whoever's going through suicide, having this journey of just bad negative thoughts, they know that happened. That started a long time ago. And so if you saw something that this person is maybe cutting themselves, or this person has pills or taking medication, or smoking too much drugs, or whatever, or even just over drinking it for no reason, just know that bad event happened a long time ago. So then now we have all this like times that this person been suffering, and that's all they know. So like, hey, dude, stop worrying about why and when. Yeah, let's fix that for sure. Of course, later. Let's try to fix that. But for right now, this individual needs us. Be present. Stop making it about you. It's not about you. It's about them. Stop asking questions of why, and more like, hey, what do you want to do? What do you want? What do you like? Right? Make them feel valuable. Give them purpose.
Yes.
Let's not wait until they commit suicide for us to go through more pain. This doesn't help anything. Let's step it up now.
Yes, I love that. So what I'm saying is, like, instead of having, because we all have busy lives, right? And everyone's on their cell phone, just like put it down and be present, just with your friends, or just with people, and don't isolate yourself, because that's also a big thing. Because you find that people start isolating themselves when they're feeling pain, and because they don't know how to cope. So I love that. Now, what advice? How can the first people do that though?
How can they not?
Yeah, how can you be present with someone daily, or with your friends daily?
Yeah. You know what? One thing that I always tell people, even with ourselves, we even myself including, where we give back a lot. I'm always out there giving back to somebody. I'm always thinking about somebody, helping somebody. And even myself, people might think that I live this cool, perfect life because I'm always trying to be happy, and that's not the case. That's not the case. I go through a lot, and I go through these downfalls emotionally, where I do a lot of reflection. But even myself, I always have to find myself to kind of just make sure that I'm okay. Self check-ins, self reflections. And so one thing I always tell people, like, I try to practice being positive. And so if I see somebody see something and I say, hey, nice shirt, nice pants, hey man, you're looking good. I do it through just cracking jokes. I do it through sarcasm. Whatever it might be. Just I try to practice positive language, and it's hard because positive language to me in my culture sometimes it's kind of a put downs or positive love. So in my culture, if someone's like saying, "Hey, gordito," which is kind of a put down, like, "Hey, I know they're showing me love though," because that's just a sweet way of talking to us, right? But but just being positive to somebody, just do check-ins. Just one word a day to somebody means a lot. And it's not really about the word. It's just about knowing that someone's like looking at you and talking to you, hugging you, touching you, man. That's big time, right? But if you really want to take it a step further, then we could just honestly just never stop texting that person. Right? We always have this excuse where like, oh, they never respond back. They never call me back. Well, that makes it about you. You're mad that they don't call you back. Well, stop making it about yourself, right? Just stop making it about them. Just know that you texted them. I love when people text me. I love when people message me and call me. I can't answer every time like right away, but I still love it. And so I annoy people. I annoy people because that's all I do. I want to make sure that people know I'm thinking about them and just reaching out in some kind of way or form. It sounds so easy, but it is difficult because we have a lot of things in mind. But to answer your question, Karina, like never give up. Never give up. Just keep on reaching out. Keep on reaching out. There'll be a day when that person calls back, and that'll be the best day that every person ever have in their life. So
I love that because it's so easy to send texts and texts because people are busy and some people don't look at their phones and people don't respond. And it's like, you know what, I'm over this. But you're right. You need to understand that people have different things and different priorities. So I love that. And also, like you were saying, that sometimes you're down. It's okay to ask for help, sometimes. It's okay to say, hey, you know what, I'm not feeling so great today. Let's, or call someone and say, hey, you know what, I'm not feeling so great today. Can I chat to you or let's go for coffee or whatever? There's really nothing wrong with that either.
There isn't wrong. I just want to say something. Sorry to cut you off on there. You know what? There was a time when I was like looking for help, and I still ask for help. I really do. And the one thing that I always got was advice from somebody. I always got advice from somebody. Oh my goodness! Like I gotta tell you how much that thing pissed me off because, hey, thank you for your kind words. I used to go to these group settings as well, and they'll be, and I'll have a shitty day, and I'll say something, and then they'll be like, "Oh yeah, come on, man, don't worry about it. You still have this. At least you have that. This." I'm like, "Wow, what the fuck? I didn't ask for that. I just wanted to like sit there and listen to me. I didn't even ask for feedback. I just wanted to say whatever because I just felt bad that one moment, right?" And that's what I feel like. That's what society really just it's all about: advice and right, strap your boots and just keep going. And like, what the fuck? If we really care about somebody, just stop giving advice. Just shut the fuck up and like be there for a person, right?
Yes.
I'm going through so much pain that the last thing I want to hear is that at least you have something. Well, fuck. Great. Now what? I'm still hurting. Like, just
Yeah.
dude, you're not giving me what I'm asking for. And so when we're just sitting there asking for advice, or giving advice to people, it's like, was it about me or was it about your advice? Like what is it? Because you haven't said anything. You haven't even asked me, like, hey, dude, what do you want to do? And so that's one of the things that is just really, really, really so just to like I do appreciate it. Let's ask for help. It's if you ask for help, people should give you help, right? And that's 100%. Don't be afraid to ask for help. The way I see that though, when someone's asking for help, they're not really just saying, "Hey, I need a soda, I need a drink, I need water." they're asking for companionship, right? They're asking for a friend. They're asking for a mentor. They're asking for something else than just that physical thing that they're asking for. And so, for anybody who's looking out there, man, if anybody asks you for help, don't just say, "Hey, yeah, I'll give you $1." Like, take it a little bit farther than that.
Yes, yes, I love that. And just to take it from you as well, sometimes all people want to do is just vent. Like it's like all I want to do is just just listen to me. I don't care what you say. I don't want to hear anything. I just want to talk. So I love that. I agree with you. It's like I just want to talk, and I'm just talking. No judgment. Just sit and listen to me. So on that note, it's a pretty cool note to end. Oscar, is there anything else that you want to say before we go?
There's a lot I want to say. There's a lot. Come on. There's only, what, we have another hour, 2 hours? Again, I appreciate you inviting me to this conversation. I think these conversations are good. And I'm not really too sure we tapped too much into the conversation of suicide in so many ways, because again, everybody has their own journey, their own story, and how they came about, happening, suicide is affecting their life. And so I think one thing I kind of maybe want to end it with is that let's not wait until a suicide event happens to you or around you or of, just because you not really have experienced it yourself, or your neighbor hasn't. If it's, just make sure that everybody's going through it. Make sure that everybody somewhere out there is going through it right now. So I think you said it earlier. Let's start being more kind to each other, and we're just more present to each other. And so that goes a long way. So if that, more love for the world will go a long way.
Thank you so much, Oscar. Thank you for your time. This was beautiful. Remember, share this, like, subscribe, share it, because let's share the light so that we can help each other. We can help each other, lift each other up. And remember, disclaimer: we're no doctors. We're not telling you what to do. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Oscar. Really appreciate your time, and we'll see you all next time. Bye for now.